Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into a really foundational text, Plato's Republic,
That's right.
our mission, to unpack its early definitions of justice and, figure out why this ancient idea of its intrinsic worth, its real value, is still so important.
Exactly. We'll look at those first attempts to define being just, and interestingly, why some argue that maybe, just maybe, injustice was actually uh, more profitable. It really gets to the core of morality.
Okay, so where does Plato kick things off? The first voice we hear is Cephalus, right? An older guy.
hmm
And his definition seems, well, pretty simple. Justice is being honest, telling the truth, and paying back what you owe.
Yeah, seems fair enough on the surface. Kind of like good basic rules to live by.
Right. Sounds pretty reasonable.
But Socrates, you know how he is, immediately throws a wrench in it. He asks, is it always right?
Hmm.
What about that famous example? Your friend lends you a weapon, seems fine.
Okay.
Then he loses his mind and asks for it back. Should you return it?
Well, no, obviously not. That would be dangerous.
Exactly. So paying your debt, in that case, isn't the just thing to do. It shows these simple, sort of rule-based definitions. They just don't hold up under pressure. Justice is more complicated than just following rules blindly.
Gotcha. So it's not just the letter of the law, but the spirit, the actual consequence. Okay, so if Cephalus's simple idea falls short, who's next? Polemarchus.
Yes, his son. Polemarchus tries to refine it. He brings in the poet Simonides and suggests justice is about helping your friends and harming your enemies.
Okay, that sounds a bit more tribal, maybe, but probably a common idea back then. Help your own, hurt the others.
Very common. But again, Socrates pushes back. He asks, can justice, which is supposed to be a virtue, something that makes us better, actually involve making someone worse?
Good point. If you harm your enemy, you're arguably making them a worse person, less virtuous.
Precisely.
Well,
So how can an act that degrades someone be considered truly just? Socrates steers the conversation towards this pretty radical idea for the time. Maybe it's never right to harm anyone.
wow, okay. From simple rules to never harming anyone. That's quite a shift.
But then the conversation takes a really sharp turn with Thrasymachus.
Oh yeah, Thrasymachus bursts in. He's a sophist, very pragmatic, maybe cynical.
And he basically says justice is what?
A sham.
Pretty much. He declares justice is simply the interest of the stronger. Whatever the people in power say is right, that's justice. And it's designed to keep them in power and the rest of us in line.
So might makes right.
Essentially, yes. And he goes further. He argues that, real large-scale injustice, like being a successful tyrant, that's the path to happiness and power. The truly unjust person, he claims, is the happiest and most successful.
Whoa, that's a bold claim. How does Socrates even respond to that justice is just a con?
Well, Socrates uses an analogy. Think about a craftsman, like a doctor or a ship captain. Do they practice their craft for their own benefit primarily, or for the benefit of those they serve? The patient, the sailors?
So the people they serve, ideally.
Right. A true ruler, Socrates argues, works for the good of the governed, not just themselves. And while Thrasymachus calls injustice an excellence, Socrates points out it actually creates chaos, internal conflict, external conflict. Even a gang of thieves needs some justice among themselves to function at all.
Ah, okay. Injustice breeds disunity, so it can't actually be effective or lead to real well-being. Justice brings harmony, both inside a person and in a group.
Exactly. Justice is the soul's virtue, its proper function, and only that can lead to true happiness.
Okay, Socrates makes a strong case there, but the argument isn't quite over, is it? The Glaucon and Adimantus, they jump in.
Right, Plato's own brothers, actually. And they're still not fully convinced. They respect Socrates, but they want a deeper proof. They say, okay, forget reputation, forget rewards, forget punishments.
Yeah.
Prove that justice is good in and of itself, intrinsically valuable.
Just for its own sake, even if nobody ever knew you were just.
Precisely. And to hammer this home, Glaucon tells the story of the ring of Gyges.
Ah, the invisibility ring.
Yeah. If you had that ring, you could do anything without getting caught. Would the just person still resist temptation? Or would they act just like the unjust person if there were zero consequences?
That's a really powerful thought experiment. It suggests maybe people are only good because they're afraid of getting caught. Fear or social pressure, not genuine virtue.
It puts the pressure squarely back on Socrates. Prove that justice itself, the state of your soul, is beneficial, regardless of any external factors like reputation or reward. What good does it do you deep down?
So how do they plan to tackle that? Seems like a huge challenge.
It is. And Socrates proposes a clever strategy. He says, trying to see justice clearly in a single person's soul is hard, like reading tiny letters.
Okay.
So let's look at justice on a bigger scale first.
Yeah.
Let's imagine an ideal city, a state, and see how justice works there writ large. Then, maybe we can see the same pattern, the same principles operating within the individual soul.
Interesting. Look at the macro to understand the micro. Okay. So, today we've really just scratched the surface, looking at these first attempts to pin down justice. From simple rules,
Yeah, like paying debts.
helping friends, and then that really provocative idea from Thrasymachus that it's all about power.
And we've ended up with this huge challenge. Prove justice is good for its own sake, good for you, even if nobody's watching. Setting the stage for a much deeper exploration.
So as you listen, what really stands out to you from these ancient debates? Is it maybe that core idea that justice isn't just about what you do, but about who you are inside? That internal harmony, that state of your soul being linked to your actual happiness? Definitely something to chew on until our next deep dive.